Today is Monday. It's a short day. I'm not going to scan these right now. Sorry. I will find some time here in a minute. The assignment for tonight is the blue sheet. The most common mistake on this one, everybody look at it. Look close at the side that has the problems. It's the side that says no calculator. Then flip it over and look at the back that says answers. And look closely at both sides. Raise your hand and see if you can predict what a very common mistake is for students when they're doing this assignment. Just raise your hand if you can predict this very common error. Look at the front and kind of glance at the back and look back at the front. And raise your hand if you can predict what might possibly accidentally go wrong. I'll put it here. Just don't want you to make this mistake. So let's try. Natalie.
Yes. They're going to solve for the problem on the back instead of the problem on the front.
How many knew that?
Boom.
Yeah, 3 points. No, 3 points. Really, hey, be very cautious. It's easy to get mixed up because they look really similar. So don't get it backwards. Okay, in your notebook, please write this one down, number 4. Okay, write that down. Okay, none of the rules that you've used to this point will work on this particular function. So today we start off by using the product rule. The product rule is quite easy actually. So I'm using the product rule because what I have here is the derivative of a product. This factor is being multiplied by this factor. Okay? To use the product rule, all you have to do is you write down the second of the two factors, and then you multiply by the derivative, so d over dx, of the first factor. Okay, do you need me to repeat that? Just wave at me. So if you look at the green sheet, the rule says that the product rule is the derivative of f multiplied by g is g multiplied by f prime plus f multiplied by g prime. So that's all I've done so far, is just the first half. So I've written down the second factor, which I'm labeling as g, multiplied by d dx of the first factor. Now I just repeat the process the other way around. So I write down the first factor multiplied by d over dx of the second.
Oh, so it's mirrored?
It's mirrored.
So the g of dx is like saying c prime, like
Right.
prime.
Prime means the same thing as d over dx. Wade, if you need me to talk more about it. So, again, key thing is to look at the problem and identify that what we have here is one factor multiplied by another. You okay to there? So we're going to think of the first factor as being f, not this f, like a separate f. Remember when we use the rules, you don't think of the f and g in the rule as being the same f that's indicated by the original problem.
Yeah.
So first, using the product rule, we're thinking of an f and a g like this. Totally different than this f. See if you're okay there. Nod if that feels okay. Okay. The rule says you just write down the g function. So I did. Here's g. And then I have to multiply by the derivative of f. That's what f prime means. So d dx of f. Nod if that feels good. Okay, cool. Plus then just the opposite. So second half, same as the first, just switch it around. You okay? Awesome. Okay, when you get to here, now there's nothing new. Now you're just doing exactly what you did on the buff sheet, the pink sheet, and the yellow sheet. So you just keep going down the page. Now, you've now done 80 problems, so we can start again looking for shortcuts. Feel free to raise your hand and ask, like, hey, can we skip writing this line? I'll let you know. So this part, look, there's no ddx operator here. So just write that down. Now I have to make sure these two multiply. The derivative of e to the x is really simple. It's just e to the x. And then you would have dx over dx. But after 80 problems, I'm good to that's just going to do 1. So then you need to do that again. Just wave at me. Everyone's waving. Plus e to the x. Okay, I think most of you have done enough of this. You can probably do this in your head now. So don't say it. Just raise your hand. Who knows what this is equivalent to? Just do it in your head. What's this going to become when I write it over here? Hands? Okay, everybody who knows. We'll see how many can do this in their head. Let's go, Nathan.
Negative 2x.
Negative 2x. Now okay, how many knew that this is equivalent to negative 2x? Hands? 2 points, 3 for Nathan. Don't write it like this though. Why? Hands. Why can I not write it like this? What's the reason, Sarah? It's like I'm subtracting. Somebody knew it? 2.3 for Sarah. Anybody need me to talk through anything you get? Okay, no one's waiting. Oh, please.
Just one question. So when you write like d over d of x with like e to the power of x in like the parentheses, is it the same with writing it like next to the d like directly? Like,
Yeah.
It's a stylistic choice.
So
Then how you talked about like how it's like 4 and f, like that's the same thing.
it is.
Okay. Which is why you can work with the table to see as an operator.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Or like this. Yeah, those are all the same. Good question. 2 for Matt. Anybody else? Awesome. Okay. Notice on this line, there is no ddx. Okay. So on the written portion of the AP test, you should stop. It's done. Go ahead, Mike.
What if you wanted to reorder it so it was like e to the power of x parentheses 2 minus x squared and then minus 2x?
Reordering it's fine. On the written section, you don't want to though, because if you reorder and happen to make an error, you'll lose the point. Whereas if I leave it like this on the written section, I'll for sure get full credit. So nothing wrong with reordering, you just don't want to. It's just risk error. So 2 points.
Hey, will they dock you if you have like, did you know like how they want your like exponents in front of like a e or something? Is that?
They don't care about that at all.
Yes, that's not really just like if you make the actual mistake. You know?
Yep, 2 points. Anybody else? Okay, however, on the multiple choice section, the answer won't look like this. The answer will be factored. So, what I see here is I see a term being added to another term. But each term is made up of factors. So hands up. Tell me, all who know. What factors are multiplying to make this term? Hands, come on. What factors are multiplying to create this term, Jane? So e to the x is one factor. Point for Jane. Somebody else, what's the other factor? Micah.
2 minus x squared.
Point for Micah. Who else had their hand raised? Point. Look over here now. Hands again. What factors are multiplying to create this term? Lily?
E to the x and negative 2x.
And those we can treat separate even. So we've got e to the x, negative 2, and x. How many knew it? 2 points, 3 for Lily.
Would we even want to split it up into -1 and 2, or does it matter?
The 1 usually isn't super important, but don't forget it. It does come into play once in a while, but for here it doesn't really matter. 2 points. So hands up. What factors are common here and here? Like what factors are in both terms? Don't overthink it. Julia? E to the x. How many knew it? Point, 2 for Julia. So pull out the e to the x. So this factor remains plus questions. Okay, cool. The multiple choice answer probably won't look like that either. So now I'll reorder a little bit. Does the answer in the back match that? I'm not sure. They take the negative out. So this is where I'm just trying to get my answer to match the multiple choice answer. Is that what they have on the back? Okay. In numbering the steps, please raise your hand and ask about any line, like from any step to any step. And I'll be glad to talk more about it. Please, Mark.
3 to 4.
3 to 4. So, were you comfortable with the fact that we have 2 terms? Are you comfortable that this term is created by multiplying these 2 factors? And these 3 factors multiply to make this term? So all we did was notice that these 2 factors, these 3 factors, the only factor that is common is the e to the x. So we're basically going to divide this by e to the x. That leaves this. We will divide this also by e to the x. That leaves this. But to maintain equality, we then have to multiply all this by e to the x. So if we were to distribute, this times this would be here. This times this would be here. So they're the same thing, just written differently. So no calculus here, just algebra. You good? Okay. 2 points, please.
On step 4, do you need the parentheses around 2 minus x squared?
You do not. When I came from this line to this line, I just kind of wrote them in, but there's no, because there's nothing here, you don't need them. 2 for Jane. Please.
So is it really as simple as just having like 2 terms like f and g for the product and just switching them like one on the outside? So that's how it's
Nothing else, yeah. Really, we haven't used the product rule prior to this example, but using the product rule is the easiest part. After that, it's a matter of remembering how to factor it, and then using the rules you've used for the 80 other problems you've done. So, please, go ahead.
Wait, so,
2 points.
sorry, In 4 to 5, why does adding, wait, never mind, just kidding.
See it?
Yes.
Good work. 2 more points. No. Okay, next one.